My legal panel of experts still here, CK Hoffler and Titus Nichols. All right, so Matthew Albenzi, he took the stand today and he said he was in his front yard when he noticed a man standing in the front yard of a home under construction down the street. Now, Albenzi said that the owner of that home had previously shown him a video of someone walking around the property, so it came to his mind when he saw the person in the yard that day. Here's what happened next.
What did you see the young man do?
He was just standing there looking around. It's a good distance away.
So what did you decide to do? What happened next?
What came to mind was Mr. English's video, something that looked like that on his docket night. So I shut the splitter off, grabbed my phone, walked down to the corner.
And did you go in the house and get something else too?
Yeah, I had a pistol in my pocket.
Okay. So you got your phone, you got your gun, and you walked down to the end of the drive, or the end of the street.
Right.
And what did you do then?
I saw someone moving around inside the house, so I pushed the send button, called Lynn County Police.
All right, so when you hit the send button, what number did you dial?
The 7800 number.
What's the 7800 number?
It's the Lynn County Police Department.
So you didn't dial 911?
No.
All right. Why didn't you dial 911?
I did not see an emergency.
CK, does this testimony support the claims made by the defense, at least for Gregory McMichael, that he had reason to believe Ahmaud was allegedly responsible for these string of burglaries?
Well, yes and no. And they support sheer foolishness, I believe. But I do think that, this witness didn't see it was an emergency. Well, if he didn't see it was an emergency, then it does not support the notion that Ahmaud Arbery should have been chased down like a rabid dog and cornered with pickup trucks and shot and killed. So I don't really think that it supports the defense that much. But by the same token, it does support the notion that he was jogging and while being a Black man. And in that neighborhood, that is what piqued people's curiosity. When there's a house under construction, many people stop and look inside. That's not an unusual occurrence in any part of the United States, and I dare say in the world. People are interested in seeing what's going on in a house. So the notion that Ahmaud Arbery was doing something wrong and this gentleman felt he should go and get his gun because he was just looking at a construction site is just something that as African Americans and people of color, we experience all too often, unfortunately. But it does not in any way justify the heinous actions that the defendants took, in my impression.
Titus, this was a prosecution's witness, but I'm not sure his testimony actually helped the prosecution. Unless I'm wrong, please tell me.
I think the benefit that he gave the prosecution was when they asked, well, why'd you call 7800 instead of 911? He said, I didn't think it was emergency, which goes directly against the defense's narrative that they thought they saw a crime in progress. That's why they hopped in the back of their pickup truck and went chasing after this suspect. The reality is Ahmaud Arbery hadn't committed a crime. Walking through a construction site, first of all, you hadn't even proved that he did walk through a construction site. But if he did, that's not a crime. Lots of people walk through unfinished houses to take a look at it. That's not a crime. So the prosecution's using this witness as a mirror image to show this person, who's a resident and a white man, in the same neighborhood, saw somebody walk in a construction area and didn't think it was worthy of going after them or even calling 911.
Well, a woman whose family has lived in that neighborhood for decades testified about seeing a man believed to be Ahmaud Arbery at the same home that was under construction weeks before the shooting. Here's what she had to say about what she saw.
Driving by and I thought, what is he doing in there? And then I thought, no, Kelly, don't be racist. He's probably working on the house. And then I thought, well, no, he doesn't have a tool belt on. So I wonder what he's doing there, just the whole thing. So we were just looking at each other and I wasn't really sure. And I just, kept driving.
CK, does any of this matter for a citizen's arrest to be lawful? I mean, everybody keeps talking about what they saw on every other day but the day in question.
Well, according to this 1863 law that was in place in Georgia, that was a law in Georgia at the time that Ahmaud Arbery was brutally murdered. Quite frankly, all they had to do is have reasonable suspicion that someone was probably involved in improper conduct or a crime. And remember, this was a law that was designed to allow people to catch runaway slaves. That's what that law was designed to do. So no, it doesn't really matter so much, because the three of them are going to say, well, we thought he was, committing a crime because he looked suspicious, like he was, doing something wrong. And when asked right after, I think it was Gregory McMichael, when asked, well, did he actually commit a crime or did he actually go into the house? He said, the funny thing is, I don't even know. So if he didn't even know, and when he was questioned by law enforcement right after, then his whole notion that he had reason to believe he was committing a crime goes right out the window, in my impression.
Titus, if there is no lawful citizen's arrest, then their entire defense about self-defense falls apart as well, correct?
Well, if you follow the law, then absolutely it falls apart. But the reality is their defense is, we're white men, that's a black man, we feared for our lives, so we should be allowed to kill him. And you also should take notice to the woman who just testified, where she said she saw a black man inside of the house and thought, what's he doing in there? Oh, don't be racist, he might be working on a house. It didn't dawn on her that maybe he owns the house under construction. No, her first thought was either he was doing something illegally or maybe he's just a construction worker. So it's this type of mindset that the prosecution is revealing through their testimony, that this is what Ahmaud was dealing with when he was in that community. It wasn't even the fact that those three men were chasing after him. It's the fact this mindset already branded him a criminal even when he hadn't committed a crime.
All right, guys. Dre Clark showed us some of the rally and the prayer vigil outside the courthouse earlier. Here's more of what Wanda Cooper Jones, Ahmaud's mother, had to say.
In the very beginning, after we laid Ahmaud to rest, it was very hard because we couldn't find any help. The local authorities, they wouldn't give us any answers.
Come on.
And we went for weeks trying to find out what happened to Ahmaud.
Yes.
But in the midst of it all, I prayed.
Yes. Yeah.
And God answered my prayer.
Yes.
This day, as we stand before this courthouse, I thought this day would never come.
CK, the irony here is, but for that video, we would not be having this conversation about this trial. A video that was made by one of the defendants. Your thoughts?
That is the irony of all ironies. And I just have to say, I mean, my heart and prayers go out to the Arbery family. I have our past president, Ben Crump of the NBA, and Lee Merritt, who's one of our members representing the family. And I actually spoke to Mr. Arbery a couple of days ago to let him know that the world, that there are people all around the world praying for him, because it was ironic that, speaking to the mindset that my colleague here said, Mr. Bryan thought it was a good thing for him to publicize this video. He was like, look at the good that we just did with this video, everybody. Let's look at this. Let's see this. That's a mindset. And the true concern that I have is that that jury that's impaneled has a mindset that reflects exactly the mindset of the McMichaels and Mr. Bryan. That's the problem with this case. That's the problem with voir dire. That's the problem with having a judge say, well, I believe there's some intentional discrimination here in the process of selecting jury, but we're going to go forward with this jury and we're going to begin the trial. That's the problem with this case. So we need to pray, just as Ahmaud Arbery's mother has said, and as his father said to me on the phone, we need to pray, because the system feels rigged, feels discriminatory, feels awful, feels oppressive for those of us who are sitting on the outside and looking at it, and for those who are inside the courtroom, for sure.
Titus, I've got to run to a break, but I want to give you the last word.
I agree with President Hoffler. Is the system, I mean, if you're a trial attorney, you know how to game the system when it comes to picking a jury. You can't strike someone just because they're a certain race, but you can come up with some stupid reason such as, well, they just don't seem as if they're very interested in the trial. And that it acts as a justification to remove somebody from the jury panel that you don't want on here. Here, the judge even acknowledged that this was not a valid reason to strike the jury. But in his words, I don't have any power, which I completely disagree with. But again, what the bigger issue here is the prosecution is dealing with the mindset that was responsible for Ahmaud's death.
All right, Titus Nichols, CK Hoffler, thank you so very much for your time tonight. Appreciate you both.